Okay, so uh we all need to be seen and we all want to be seen, and that's the way that businesses grow. So the opening sermon today is all about the power of leverage. So obviously, I don't think I need to ask you, but I will. What if one relationship could change everything for you and for your business? Not by giving you more work to do, but by opening doors you didn't even know existed. I feel like this is the fluke of my career is learning about leveraging one relationship to open many doors, to introduce me to many people. Um, and that's a beautiful thing that when we get away from the social media hamster wheels, we have more brain capacity, we have more time, we have more energy, we have the ability to just think about what sort of alignments we're actually looking to create. Because if you live on the social media zone, it's usually the loudest people that seem to get all the traction. And most people, especially in the lines of work that all of you do, are typically more soulful and not necessarily wanting to be loud. But maybe you want to be creative. Maybe you just want to focus on the craft of what you do and who you serve and what you love about the work and let the rest go. So, what is leverage? Leverage is when one move multiplies your results across many channels. And the most powerful form of leverage that I've found is through relationships, through partnerships. Um, and so there's all these really fun moving pieces in Magic Kids. I talked about this last week, but I'll just dig into it again because I think it's important and things are evolving. So my career has been how one relationship changes everything. How we can build thriving businesses and live our ideal lifestyle through just a handful of really important relationships rather than needing a massive email list, a huge following, and a really complicated business model. So one of the conversations I had last week, which seems to be unfolding really beautifully, is was with an acquisition partner that she does. Basically, her whole career has been built on helping to facilitate deals, specifically in audio and video spaces. And so we met last week, and she got back to me yesterday that she's going through all of our Magic Kid stuff, and she's really excited. She thinks she can, through her network, she could open doors to get Magic Kids on airplanes, libraries, schools, a bunch of different apps we're not on, streaming platforms, podcast networks, etc. And that's just the audio library. She's also looking at my meditation library. She's also looking at our books. And so this is one relationship that could potentially open a whole bunch of doors. We have another partnership that I was just chatting with this morning. They're called In Audio, and they're talking about helping us to distribute our stories to 50 plus audio platforms. Now, this is not free. All of these platforms that we're getting on, this is paid exposure. We're getting paid to license our stuff. We're providing value over here to all the platforms because they're gonna get the opportunity to use our stuff and distribute in the ways that they do, and they take subscription sales to host all this stuff, and we get introduced to millions and millions and millions of people. And so the purpose of this talk is to just open your minds to that possibility exists for all of you if you create the right products and if you have the right alignment and you know what it is that you would ask a partner for. And licensing for me has been one of these breakthrough experiences in my careers that I just can't stress enough, that there's massive opportunities in it. So it doesn't matter if you're a creator or a coach or a teacher or some form of entrepreneur. There's three types of relationships I'm going to talk about right now. The one is the relationships you have right now. So these are people who believe in you. So just think for a moment. Who do you know in your life, in your network, that absolutely believes in you? That when you talk about the thing you do, they light up, you feel encouraged by them. And these are the people that you know already trust you, already love you. And maybe those people, there's always a degree of separation in these relationships that can absolutely be deal breaker or deal makers for us. And when we lean in and we ask for what it is that we want and need through clarity that we've cultivated, we can ask these people for support. And so think about it. Who are the people that love you, that believe in you, that trust you, that maybe they know some people? Maybe they're connected to events. Maybe they're connected to platforms. Maybe they're connected to investors. If you're at the stage of needing to scale your business and you need to find some capital to do that, which has been instrumental for Magic Kids. You know, we wouldn't have been here without investors. So think about that for a moment. Who are five people in your world who could help open some doors? I can give you 60 seconds to see if any names pop. And then the second question is, have you followed up with them recently? Have you booked a lunch to catch up? Have you tried to have a conversation? So see what names pop. Maybe it's a studio, maybe it's a retreat center, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a family member. And then the question is, when you have these relationships, are you making it easy for them to say yes to supporting you, to spreading the word, to making an introduction? You know, if you ask somebody to make an introduction, when they say yes, be like, great, I'll send you some pre-written copy. You can make your own. When you go to tour your signature workshop, you have to have a really well organized media page that makes it so simple that these influential leaders that are going to host your signature workshop can easily just copy and paste some stuff, put it in their own words, embed their link, and away they go promoting your stuff. It's got to be so simple for people to help you. So make it as easy as possible for them to do that. When we do Magic Kids partnerships, it's like we have everything so ridiculously organized for them with the titles, the descriptions, the files, the album covers, etc., that they can just grab it all at a glance and be on their way to go use the stuff that we gave them so that there's not a whole bunch of back and forths. And I've just learned that over the years. If you want to start making money quickly and you're leaning into partnerships, pre-think of what needs to be prepared for these people to support you. So the next one is the partnerships side. So first one was relationships. This one's partnerships. So searching out aligned creators, collaborators, brands, people you love and look up to, and see how you can play with them. With Magic Kids, and this was one of the things, you know, we're in some sales conversations right now. And the thing that has struck the companies that we're talking to is how we, even in our business plan, even in our pitch deck, we do not look at other apps for children's stories as competitors. We call them industry mirrors. And instead of trying to compete and be bigger and better than them, we Trojan horse that shit. We collaborate with them. We license our stuff to them. And I can guarantee by Christmas time, through these new partnerships that we're doing, we're going to have access. We're going to be in front of millions of people through probably anywhere between 50 and 100 licensing partnerships. So you think about the expansion effect that's taking place is like, we want Magic Kids to be a household name. How do you get Magic Kids to be a household name? You get Magic Kids everywhere. And so with your brand, if you're creating assets, look at your competition, see what they're doing, and see if you can come up with creative ways to collaborate with them so that instead of it being competition, it's something that you're both serving the same mission and goal, but you have complementary skill sets. Obviously, if what you're selling competes with their product directly, it's the same product, but you're both teaching different things, it might not work. But there might be a lot of platforms that if you align yourself correctly, you could definitely find ways to collaborate and partner, co-host, license, etc. And so as you're just searching the internet, and I really encourage, you know, an hour to 2 hours a week is just in finding those relationships, doing the research, going to websites, reading about their mission, seeing if they do partnerships already, and then crafting outreach emails. If you're doing that for 2 hours a week instead of posting and commenting and endlessly scrolling YouTube or Instagram, you're going to have so much more success and traction with your business. I can just guarantee it. So the third one here, so we've done relationships, partnerships, now we're going licensing, is licensing and leveraging your intellectual property. These are like your proprietary breakthrough experience that you have developed. These are, I mean, audios are the easiest way that I know. I haven't licensed videos, but I've licensed a shit ton of audio, from meditations to audio stories to kids' meditations, um, and even like curriculum. Let's just pretend you create workbooks and you design experiences for people. All of that intellectual property that you are making, that can be licensed to other platforms. And so, do you have any intellectual property created? And if the answer is no, then I would encourage you to create a roadmap that is intellectual property that you could create in the next 12 months. Because if we're spanning out 5 to 10 years from now, then you can imagine yourself creating a bunch of assets. And if audio meditation is the thing you want to lean into, then that needs to be scheduled into your calendar, that like one day a week is just on writing, producing, editing, finding those partnerships. And over time, over a year, you'll have 50 meditations that you do one a week. That's a huge asset. My 48 meditation track library has generated $500,000. So there's so much room for growth when you lean into these strategies and you have a clear plan, a clear ask, and you have clear exchange on what you're bringing that provides value to the other platform or partner. So who are the platforms you could pitch this month? I've been blown away at researching on ChatGPT to find platforms and partnerships. It's so much quicker than the old-fashioned Google way that I used to do it. We built our list of 100 plus meditation apps, and um, you could do that through ChatGPT as well. So there's really, other than just your clear ask, your clear alignment and strategy, there's not a lot holding you back other than just like booking the time and putting in the work of doing outreach and building those relationships. And, for every 100 emails you send, you might get a couple. That's just kind of the game that you play. But what you're looking for is true alignment. Um, and if you're not trying to just like constantly come up with content on the hamster wheel of social media, you do have some creative space to be reflective and strategic and to search for those true alignments. And the more anchored in what you have for value and what you can exchange with others, the easier it is to find those alignment points. Um, and I'm seeing it more and more with what we're doing at Magic Kids, which uh, we've closed in the last year 6 licensing deals, but now through these 2 partnerships that are looking like they're going to come through, we'll be on 50 to 75 platforms. And so just think about that. That's 2 relationships. How many people out there could, if you were really clear on what you're doing and you get all the pieces set up professionally, that you could approach and find those win-win collaborations. Um, the one woman who said she can help us get into airlines and libraries and schools and all the things, like she's just a 15% flat fee for all the money she generates through these doors she's opening. I'm like, hell yeah, that's great. I will happily pay you all that money to receive that support. So just think about, um, how do you incorporate relationship cultivation and exploration into the time you have available with your work? Because honestly, you don't have to do this all by yourself. You don't have to build an audience from scratch. There's audiences out there on platforms right now. I never built a massive meditation audience. It's all just been leveraged through these licensing partnerships that basically are just paying me to have my stuff on their platforms. So all that's available to you. So we're going to take a few minutes now and either think about what you have to leverage, what you have to offer, and what true alignment would feel like for you. If you're to dream into dream partnerships for the work that you're doing, map that out, spell it out, write it down. Because we're all in different places. Not everybody has things to license, but you have skills that you can offer. And so, what is the exchange you'd be looking for if you were collaborating on workshops or events or experiences? What are the collaborations you could imagine if you were to co-create a course, or if you do have licensing stuff that's licensable? What could that look like for you? What are you looking for in a licensing partner? Where could your stuff potentially live? And all these answers might be question marks, but the clearer you are on that alignment piece, the easier it is to research and find those people because they exist. They're out there and they can be the gatekeepers between you growing your email list from several hundred people to you accessing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of people and generating enough money to support you, your lifestyle, and your family. And so that's what was on my mind this morning when I was out for my walk. And I just, you know, I can't come back to this topic enough of like finding those leverage points. When we work with a client at Magic Media, the first thing I do is we'll spend hours and hours looking for leverage points. What have you created? Who do you know? What do you have that you've forgotten about? What are the assets that you've built over the years that are collecting dust on a shelf right now that could now be licensed or leveraged or put out into the world? Or what are the pieces that if you're to just focus on the long-term vision of what you're building, that you could be building right now? So great. I'm going to build an audio course. Chelsea, I'm thinking of you right now. Okay, you build your audio course. Great. It's a high quality production audio course. Now you have five assets. It's if it's five meditations for that audio course, and now you can go look at these 100 different meditation apps and you license your audio to those meditation apps. Maybe you get two out of the first 100 that you reach out to. Great, that's two. That's going to keep building revenue over time as your audience grows, as people discover you on those apps. And the cool thing about all these different apps that you can license your stuff to is the game's not rigged like social media. The companies that are building these meditation apps or they're creating these education ecosystems, they want people to discover you if your stuff is awesome. And they're going to reward you if people stay engaged with your stuff by sending you more people. It's just that simple. And that if you make a new post or post a new meditation, all the people following you get notified that you just released a new meditation track. So you don't have to like fight against an algorithm or pay for exposure. So relationships is where it's at. And see how many relationships you can be leveraging and finding these beautiful win-win scenarios. And the thing I will stress is that relationships take time. So we're looking to close a deal with Yodo, which is one of the biggest audio platforms for kids' stories. And he was just like, realistically, we're going to go through your stuff in the next few weeks. Once we know what we want, we're going to sign. He's like, it'll be 9 months before you're live on our platform. And that is pretty damn typical for all of our partnerships. It's like from the time that we sign, we're 6 to 12 months before we actually see a dollar because it takes time for them to integrate us into our ecosystems. And so that's why we have to remain um, clear on the long-term strategy that this is like when you focus in on relationships like this, you are setting your future self up for success. And so it's important to balance all the relationship cultivation with like what is your short-term strategy to be generating ongoing consistent revenue. And I can just say, entrepreneurship is a complex beast. There's so many moving parts, especially when you're flying solo. And so you need to keep your model as simple and streamlined as possible, especially in the beginning if you are solo. So, you don't want to have a whole bunch of different ways that people can pay you money. You want to just have a simple ecosystem with really high quality offerings that people love and tell their friends about as you're building all of these assets that you could then leverage. And so it's a balancing walk between understanding where we're going, what the top of the mountain looks like in 5 years from now, and taking daily action steps towards that, and meeting the needs of the moment and the day that we're in right now. And how do we generate revenue to pay for our bills this month? And it is a fine balance. But what I'm talking about today, the point of this sermon, is that relationships are the key to your success, period. And we need to be more considerate and thoughtful about the time that we invest in finding those rightly aligned relationships. And there's tools nowadays, in case you haven't heard, that can make that research a lot easier than it used to be to go find our people because they're all over the place and they'll be delighted when you show up on their doorstep to have a tea and a conversation and find out what the win-win could be. So that's my sermon for the day. Hope that's helpful. Take 5 minutes and just reflect on what right alignment in relationships and partnerships could feel like and look like at this stage that you're in right now.